Hey, Mimi, I'm sure you already know by now, but I can't make it to the show today. That means you're hosting. Sorry to do this on such short notice, but I know you're gonna do great. Just do what I do before every broadcast, and you'll be perfectly fine. Write this down, okay? This is very important. Watch WrestleMania 3 and surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. You'll do all right, kid. Goodbye.
That's just great. I don't even know what a WrestleMania is, but I guess I have to find someone now. Hey, Sideshow. Josh, yeah, it's Mimi. No, you don't have to stop watching Carmen Core right now. You can keep going. GB isn't on the desk, and he said I needed to find some people. No, I don't need you. But I was wondering, do you have the number of Wyatt and Sean Gares? Josh? Hello? He hung up on me. I'm supposed to say something epic and set the move over shots in the city, right? Well, hello and welcome to week 2 of VCT Americas, coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena right here in Los Angeles, California. I'm Mimi, and joining me on the desk, I've got two of the biggest brains in esports, both Wyatt and Sean coming back in. Dr. Valorant, it's good to finally have you on a desk.
Yeah, definitely, surely. Two of the biggest brains. Maybe one. I'll give it to Sean.
You're the biggest, dude.
No.
You're like Shaq. You're the Shaq of the analysts. You're so tall.
He's as tall as Shaq.
Yeah, they were making me look kind of tall here in the back, and I've got the platform boots on, so I can be the real.
He's actually on an
alpha
Apple box too.
Although we are familiar with your game.
True.
Very good.
All right, well, let's take a little peek at the standings from week number 1 of Americas. Things got going in, I think, the way that most people would expect. You have Loud, you have Leviathan up at the top, but we had some interesting results as well, Sean.
Yeah, mainly this Cloud9 team that we're about to see in a little bit. The way they beat Evil Geniuses was kind of embarrassing for EG, in my opinion, but...
I mean, yeah.
Brutality off the jump.
Yeah, right off the rip. And then my boys at 100 Thieves obviously falling to Sentinels. I think that caught a lot of people off guard too. So I think the NA teams are the trickiest here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's looking like all South America at the moment. Those are a lot of the teams I'm hyped about. And straight off the jump, the C9 versus Loud match. I mean, should be interesting. A test for C9.
Yeah, some super exciting games today. Cloud9 versus Loud, you were talking about, and also another LATAM versus Brazil matchup between Leviathan and Furia later today. That should be all super duper exciting to get into here. But, you know, after week number 1, a lot of people have been looking around, they've been finding some opinions, and, you know, after we have just 1 week of play, you of course have to come up with a take and totally judge a team off that one particular moment. So I've asked you guys to come up with some of your overheated takes, and I think I'll get us started here with one that I think is reasonably hot. It's not crazy, but it's a reasonable take. And that would be that I think at the end of the group stage here in Americas, Leviathan will be the team at number 1. I think they looked great in week number 1, a dominant win over NRG. The other teams we thought would be at the top stumbled a little bit. NRG obviously losing in that match, Loud dropping a Come on, guys.
I just did hot ones. That's like a Taco Bell mild right there. That's a Taco Bell mild.
You can't say that.
No. If I'm Mimi, I hate to say this. Mild take and the wrong take, double L from your team.
Yeah, actually lost
that
your
edge. Yeah, bad take and not even that spicy.
Actually just terrible. Let me just go ahead and take this from you right now. So I mentioned it before, Sentinels took down 100 Thieves.
Sure.
Why? What would you say if I said they're now the number 1 team in NA again? They're about to take out NRG this week to prove it.
About to take out NRG. How is that the take?
But
guess what? Guess what?
None
of this matters.
You didn't tell us that before.
Wait. I'm not done. None of this matters. No NA teams are going to Tokyo.
What? Not a single one.
None?
We're done.
Not NRG,
we're not going to Tokyo.
not Sentinels, none of them?
None.
Who's going to go then?
Probably like Furia, Leviathan, and Loud, actually, at this point.
Okay.
That might be
Sean?
Not that unreasonable. Do you have something even hotter?
Sean and I, we might be on the same page just a little bit.
Oh.
Okay.
My take is NA officially washed as a region. It's over. The region is done, Mimi. It is a wrap for North America. And you know what, Sean? I agree with you. Sentinels are the best team in NA. Because they have 2 Brazilian players. That is why they are the best team in NA. They're going to be the best, and it has nothing to do with the NA players. It's Pancata, and it's saucy, baby. All right? And I do agree. South America on top. They're going to Tokyo.
We're wearing a lot of green here. Sporting Loud?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
Yes, actually. Yeah. I mean, funny enough, yeah. Actually, I think we all probably are.
Do you think NA ever wasn't washed, though?
I mean, yeah,
is this like a new thing in your world?
I mean, they were fine that like one time.
We had Reykjavik.
Remember 2021?
That was sick.
You
We were
guys?
insane out the gate.
Remember the American flag was flying?
When it launched in NA first, Valorant, we were sick back then.
The flag was flying, but you guys should fly your way on over to Twitter. That's called a segue. GB taught me about those. And tell us what your hot takes are using the hashtags VCT Americas or VCT so we can throw you guys up on the broadcast. And while you're over there, check out our poll for today, which is who had the hottest take on the desk? Is it my pick of Leviathan? Is it Sean guessing the Masters teams heading to Japan? Or is it Wyatt preying on the downfall of North America?
I'm not preying on it. I'm acknowledging pure facts in front of me.
Is that not
You've
do you
been
not
in
benefit
bed with
from
Brazil for years now, Wyatt.
I've been waiting for this moment for 3 years, Sean. Let me bask in it just a little bit.
All right, we'll let you have your moment, but make sure you scan that QR code, get voting, and get some words in on Twitter while we take a quick break. It'll be match number 1 of Cloud9 versus Loud getting started just on the other side.
Forget about waiting. He wants to take the fight to their doorstep! And it's the ace for Kawanzin!
Welcome back. Let's get into the first match of the day, which is Cloud9 facing off against Loud. And this Cloud9 squad, after dropping both Ye and Vanity heading into the season and picking up 2 unknown players in Jake and Rooney, had a lot of questions surrounding them. But after an impressive week number 1, I think a lot of people are excited about this squad, specifically with Rooney, Sean.
Yeah, Rooney popped off, especially on the Sheriff Eco rounds he had last week against EG. He carried them through on Fracture, if I'm being honest. Jake also, though, on the controller role, supporting his team really well. They have the same comps, though. That's the crazy thing about Lock-In, and these players slotted in so well, Wyatt.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, to some extent, I think it's pretty fortunate that Rooney was still available come this time. A lot of teams behind the scenes last year had been looking at him for a while because IGLs that are also skillful are a rarity. I mean, IGLs are a rarity on their own right. So just the fact that a player of his quality has been available for that long and they actually had access to him to bring him in at a crucial time, kind of fortunate, but also, you know, still a testament to like the scouting from the coaching there.
Yeah, and I think for people who are in the trenches of Tier 2 NA, maybe knew about Rooney with his time at Sonics, had some expectation what to see. I think the player with a lot more questions was Jake heading into this one. Super young, a collegiate player, but not only did he have a great game, but he was also just so incredibly well-spoken. He had a moment to sit down and talk to our friends over on the Brazilian broadcast after the victory. Let's take a listen.
It's your first match with the Cloud9 jersey, and you're leaving here with the victory. How does it feel, man?
It feels great. I feel like I underperformed the second map. I didn't show exactly what I could show, and I promised I'm going to be better for the next match. I felt like I played to my strengths. The team did as well. We did well as a team. We practiced how we played, and that's the most important part. You don't want to be a scrimmer.
Last question for you, man. Next week, you're going to face Loud, our Brazilian super team. What are your expectations for this game?
For Loud, it's going to be super exciting to play against them. Obviously, world champions, renowned as one of the best teams in the world. Previously defeated by Fnatic, but Fnatic looked excellent in Brazil. So I feel like they didn't show what they are truly made out of today versus MIBR. And I think we're going to see a better Loud moving forward, but I am super excited to play against them, and I think I could hang.
Coming into Americas, we heard from some of his collegiate teammates saying he did so much for the team, he was super mature, really was dedicated to winning, and it seems like that has translated through onto this Cloud9 team.
Yeah, I was so impressed with how well-spoken he was throughout that interview. It's something you mentioned before the interview even started, and he talked about not being known as scrimmers, and that's very important for a new team like Cloud9, who MC is trying to probably button up, but they have to play free-flowing. They don't have protocols for all these things, and they're about to play against Loud. So what he said in that interview was so important, but it's way easier said than done. When all these harbor walls and viper walls are flying today and Aspes is opping, are they still going to have that free-flowing style and not looking like scrimmers?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of what you're saying too, you know, they have opted to essentially just plug these new players into the existing comps that they were already running that we saw at Lock-In. Like some of the weird stuff they were doing as well with running a Phoenix, which is a bit unorthodox. Other teams not really opting for that at all, despite the buffs. So that's a lot of that has to do, I would imagine, with MCE, given that they've brought in a new IGL. They just decided, hey, we're going to do the same stuff. We're going to keep this unorthodox approach. You have to plug in to what we're doing and work with that.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of brings up the question now, because MC has done this before, being really good at developing talent back at the guard. He made some unknown players into household names. Can he do that again with Cloud9? And would that kind of make him like the best coach, the GOAT of developing players here in North America, do you think?
I think he's definitely in the running for that title, and this would be a very important thing to put on his resume if that title did exist. I think Rooney is very similar to what he had in Valen, so I think it's possible. But his read on the meta is so unique, running these Phoenixes all over the place. I love it personally, especially in the Harbor Viper meta that we're seeing come out of Loud. I think we're going to see a clash today between these two styles.
Yeah, I expect it. And talking about that style, you mentioned this a little bit, Wyatt, that despite the roster changes, some of the same interesting reads on the meta that Cloud9 had at Lock-In have continued. They're still pulling out the Phoenix. They're still doing compositions that a lot of teams have actually strayed away from before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw a couple teams trying to play around with Phoenix after the buffs, and the only team that's really stuck with it with any serious aptitude is Cloud9. With moments like these, using the flashes on Pearl, taking advantage of what Sean was talking about, all the walls that are in the meta right now, just being able to flash through those, catch the opposing side off guard is pretty valuable. They seem to be mining at something that actually can work and seems to be working for them. They did get that win last week. So we'll see if it continues to win against a team that is a bit more competent as well, if it continues to work, because they haven't really had that test yet.
Ooh, do they dare play Loud on Pearl?
Yeah. It's
going to be rough.
possible.
They have a lot of footage now against them, and they've shown they're really sticking to this comp. So it's going to be a lot harder. The longer this comp goes on, the harder it's going to get for Cloud9.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of unknown about Cloud9, but I think the one thing that has been constant with this team is the duo of Leaf and Xeppaa. I feel like a lot of people forgot about them after a rough 2021, but these guys are still insane. Despite not touching a duelist last weekend, Leaf was the #1 rated player out of Americas.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was like you said, in 2021, or like the previous year rather, it was just so rough for the Cloud9 team that everybody went to sleep. Everyone was snoozing on this team. And with that, kind of just forgot about the quality of players that these two are. Leaf has played a number of roles and has been sick on all of them. He started on Omen all the way back in the day, was nuts on that, nuts on the Jet. He's been amazing now on the Killjoy. And Xeppaa at Lock-In he was that guy for the team. He was actually him at Lock-In. But it was that original duo that was actually like driving. They were the main driving factor at Lock-In, and then last week as well, that basically just continued in. So
yeah, together they're probably some of the best riflers in our region, and I think people forgot a lot about Leaf in that chamber meta because he wasn't really the opper that could play chamber. He couldn't take over the games. But now that we're out of that meta again, I'm really looking to this duo to just take over games.
Yeah, well, a lot of excitement around this squad, but for more on them, let's hear from the players themselves.
For people that don't know, the new roster, we have Jakey, And then we have Rooney. The main thing with this team is we're just kind of focused on like building our chemistry, building like the fundamentals to read together with them, you know, cross the dots and hope we have everything down that we need to.
In terms of an edge of us being a new team, I think it's a double-edged sword. They may not know much about us, but also we don't have that much practice time together, so like our protocols, things like that aren't as deep as other teams, and that may show.
We changed out our IGL, Rooney. He's been doing really well. He's super calm in situations, and he's always talking, and I think that's a really good trait to have.
It's always gonna be challenging because as an IGL for him, he has to learn how to like call our play styles and our roles, but I'm sure if anyone can pull through it.
And he gets us! A floor kill for Rooney! Welcome to the big stage!
Expectations for myself would just to continue what I've been doing. I've been known to frag a little bit better than most IGLs, hoping to continue that while also doing my job well and calling for the team.
I mean, yeah, Jake, I know him as Big Bean. That's my boy. Good kid, love that guy.
Jake was more of the, out of left field. I heard very good things about the kid from people that I trust, other coaches in the scene, and thought, he showed promise. Played with him and he just knocked it out of the park. The kid's stupid talented.
But the strongest fighter is Jake gets 2 kills. Big Bean with the big moves.
With the fans, changing their ideas of how well we're gonna do, I think the biggest thing is mine doesn't. Going into this season, my expectations are to be competitive with every single team we play and to beat the majority of those teams.
Lead. Going long range, a 4K into the round. Another thrifty from C9! But it's still Leaf that gets the Red Bull clutch.
For Cloud9, it feels like they're starting to find comfort in their new roster, in their new players. But the team facing them on the other side has also had some changes in Loud. They came into Americas here and switched a lot around about their roles, Sean.
They did. They started implementing the Gecko. And as someone that's playing a lot of Gecko, I was stoked on it. But the way they implemented it on some of the maps, particularly Lotus, caused them to sacrifice a Killjoy. And because of that, there's a lot of holes now in their defense. Sure, their attack looks great. They have so many options, all this utility. But in the mid-rounds, I find that they don't have the information to stack the right areas of the map, and they're falling back way too passively.
Yeah, I agree. This map for them, the Gecko on this, the comp on this, wasn't it. It was just not working there. But on the first map, Sean, that's where we were getting excited when we were talking about it, because on Split, the Gecko was, some of the best Gecko play we had seen, I think, period, up until this point.
Yeah, the Split was sick, because that is where they did run double duelist, actually, at lock-in. And it obviously isn't a very sustainable comp, so they run the Gecko in place, I believe, of the Raze, and they let Aspa still stay on Jet. And they're able to take Heaven control and do so many things with the Gecko. Like right here, here's the second ult actually coming out of Thrash. It's going in to clear the site while Wingman is going in to defuse, while Aspas is following up also. So there's just so much util coming out.
Yeah, definitely. And what I love about Gecko, though, too, is just these easy openings that you can find right here with Loud taking control of this B Heaven area. How if you just double up early round with one player, or maybe, there they had like a 1-3-1 setup, you're able to just take these areas of the map so early, stacking his utility. If you have a teammate there to protect you, you just pick it back up. You just got easy map control straight off the jump. And even in a situation like that, they actually managed to get a pick with it too, catching heat. So I just love what Gecko offers in the early round as well. I just think that it's like it's almost a passive where you just get this free map control gain if you play it correctly, and I don't think it's that hard to honestly play those situations correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, Loud, they're innovators with the Gecko, but they were also the innovators back at Lock-In, bringing out the double controller composition. It feels like this team wants to be the one leading the meta, and I think two players who have really helped them move in that direction have been Tui's and Cow and Zine, playing on the Sky role and that controller role respectively, and I think it's really interesting because you can draw a lot of comparisons between them and Jake and Rooney coming in, both as fairly unknown commodities.
Yeah, you really can. And Fraud has done such a good job, like, buttoning up this team strategically. Tui's, you mentioned, playing the Harbor. He has to be the best Harbor we have in the scene right now. His information denial with the High Tide is second to none. It's fantastic. And Kaunzine on the Sky, absolutely vital in this comp, flashing through the walls, finding so many openings and clutching out huge rounds like this one.
Yeah, definitely. And what you were saying, maybe kind of the similarity, it's those two guys for Loud, Jake and Rooney for Cloud9, both of them just thrown into the ringer, like immediately. Tui's Kawanzin, they're at lock-in. That's the first real event for those two players. And now for Jake and Rooney, they're thrown in straight into the Americas League with a lot to prove. And Kawanzin and Tui's proved a lot at that event. I mean, they stepped up immediately filled the massive shoes that they had to in that situation. And it's, to some extent, can Jake and Rooney do something similar? I mean, it's a totally different situation. It's obviously not one-to-one. That core of Loud was already succeeding. They were already doing an amazing job. But yeah, it is kind of cool to draw the parallel there and then see if they can compare to the opposite side.
Yeah, it is a pretty interesting comparison between these two squads. But with the kickoff of VCT Americas, we've had a lot of new viewers coming into the fray. And so we asked the pros to break down some of the terminology that they use in game. Let's check that one out.
I would say the lingo that our team uses the most is this thing called ping pong. It's where one of the players has contact. As soon as the player shoots, then the other person pongs and swings at the same time with the players. So it's like a ping pong.
Come! Get stunned with help from Lucio! And the two players comes in for the save!
Yo creo que la frase más importante que tenemos nosotros es valorizar, que cuando tenemos la ventaja esperamos que el rival se equivoque antes de nosotros, porque tenemos la ventaja, valorizar, tirarse hacia atrás y no darle la ventaja al rival.
Cuidado Lurker, si siempre es medio, te vas a hallar uno medio.
Buena, tranqui, valoriza.
I mean, it's in Portuguese, we call valoriza. It's like you can't die, so you just hold your position and don't try to bake. I think most of the NA players do that. Now on the team, we normally say chill. Just chill.
Retake together.
Tem um termo que a gente usa bastante que chama joga adulto, né? É o jogar adulto, que seria, no caso, você dificultar o round pro outro time. Quando o round tá bom pra você, seja porque você plantou a bomba ou porque você tá com vantagem numérica, a gente fala adulto, joga adulto. Que seria a gente jogar mais difícil e não dar chance deles conseguirem pegar essa vantagem de volta.
O termo que eu quero explicar é retake, como a gente fala, que é quando você tem que abandonar o bombe que você está defendendo para depois voltar a entrar, ou às vezes abandonar o bombe para ir para outro bombe e aumentar números, né? Geralmente se usa quando o inimigo tem muitas ultis, ou se a gente acha que não vai ter ninguém lá, ou que vão execar por outro lado, que vão ir para outro lado e entrar no bombe, então deixamos um bombe retake. Basicamente saímos do bombe.
3v2 here, Tui's on the tap. Fast enough, the Cove's up. He's gotten it to half. He's gonna sink it the whole way. Tui's is gonna sink it the whole way, and he succeeds.
Yeah, MIBR, I think they're onto something with the play adult call. I think most of my teammates could learn a thing or two about that one.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully some teams don't pick that up, though. Sentinels, you know, if they play adult, they'd have to get rid of Zekken. That would be really rough for the team, you know what I mean? A lot of teams would actually be in trouble. So hopefully, you know, not too many other teams pick that one up.
Yeah, Sean, when you were working with 100 Thieves, did you guys have any silly ones, or was it just all serious?
So Derek brought in Gibbs to the team, which was just like kind of these crossfire setups, the ping pong type of thing that Calm was talking about. And then there's also like a swarm type of call where if you feel like you have numbers in an area and you feel like you can take a timing, so that way everyone's on the same page, you're not over-calming, you just say swarm. And everyone's just kind of calming whatever they see at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, I'm going to have to write down all those call-outs and try to improve myself while we take a short break. But we're just minutes away from Cloud9 versus Loud, so don't go anywhere. back to the desk. Earlier in the show, we asked you folks at home to go and vote on a poll on Twitter about who had the hottest take on the desk. And you folks said that it was probably not me, but one of you two.
That'd be insane. If it was me, because I'm gonna be upset.
No
my!
way.
How is that
crazy?
What? Who?
Okay,
Who
well,
is,
I
what
think
is the
this
demographic?
is interesting because it shows the community perception of Leviathan. I think us, like, sitting here in our little void in front of an LED wall, we're thinking that Leviathan is fantastic, they have such high hopes, but I don't think fans are seeing that yet, particularly from the NA side.
Did you tweet anything?
No, I don't tweet.
That's a lie. I feel like the audience has been manipulated.
There might have
We're
been
just
some kind
glancing
of
over it.
Chilean AstroTurf with that tweet. I don't believe
No
it.
AstroTurfing?
I don't believe
legit.
it, baby.
That's really sad that you guys don't believe in me. I'm a little disappointed in that one. But beyond just having some hot takes, let's see what you guys think about this matchup. Because I think most people would say this is pretty one-sided for Loud. But before we hop into that, let's take a look back. I love the pictures from us. Me and Wyatt look really excited.
Actually the stoic male who invests in crypto in the center there. Also, that's like 5 years old.
Yeah, the audience is smarter than everyone but Wyatt. How does that make you feel, Sean?
It makes me feel terrible, actually. It makes me feel so bad. I'm doing worse than the audience?
That's tough.
Oh my God. I'm falling apart.
Wait, Sean, what happened? Which one?
Which ones did you get wrong?
Which ones did he get right?
I don't even remember. I had to pick I definitely had to pick the boys at 100 Thieves. So I went wrong.
I think there was that one. I think EG got me as well.
EG got me.
That's tough. Well,
I'll never support them again, actually, probably.
Okay, maybe second chances are all right. We'll see if EG can get one. But what about for today? What are you guys predicting for this matchup? Cloud9, Loud, Sean, let's start with you. I saw you made some artwork for us.
Yeah, I did. This is going to shock some people.
I mean, this is outrageous.
Why?
Oh, wait. No, actually.
This guy's clever.
There we go.
I see what he did there.
Sorry.
I see
some extra
what he did
characters
there.
slipped through somehow.
Okay. Unexpected. Wyatt, I'll never guess.
Yeah, I mean, who could imagine? Loud, #1 world, #1 team. Loud.
#1 world?
Loud all the way.
Didn't they lose to Fnatic?
Well, that was the past.
That's
this
a
is the
different
present.
world. That's like
This is the
Omega
present
Prime
and the future, maybe. So,
all right, you're a real
Loud.
transcendentalist. I love to see it. I'm also living in the moment and believing in Loud. I actually did art. I'm a little disappointed that neither of you guys
A
did.
little play button.
I didn't play button. Oh, no. All right. Well, while we get ready to get into this one, I wanted to ask you guys about Cloud9 and kind of the win conditions for them going into this one. Because, John, you were talking about the fact that you wanted to see them not try and out-strategize Loud, but lean into a little bit more how they were playing in scrims. What's your hopes?
Yeah, so I think they're going to be running against the Harbor Viper here, and they might be running a Phoenix, but regardless, what they're going to have to do in this matchup, Wyatt, is they're going to have to challenge the Harbor Wall. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors early on. You don't know if someone's going to be behind it or not. And most of these pro teams, they don't challenge it unless they're going there or they have info utility. I think Cloud9 is going to have to challenge it in risky ways today. They're going to have to go through the Harbor Wall without numbers, without enough util, catch timings, and snowball rounds in that way. And they can win. They can definitely win if MC cooks up a game plan.
Yeah, Sean, I see where you're coming from. Someone had to try and vouch for Cloud9, but I just don't see it. Even if all of that is true in this moment,
any world doctor,
I just don't see it. I just don't see it for Cloud9.
Right. Well, the doctor's prognosis is a little bit rough for this squad. But before we start the show, we wanted to let you know that this stream contains fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy and other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. But we're about to get things underway. Cloud9 versus Loud, a new North American squad trying to prove that their roster moves make sense versus Loud, a team on top of the world, maybe even #1 in the world, trying to defend that title, trying to continue to push forward here in the Americas League. And with all that out of the way, let's get America's Week 2 started in this one. It's going to be Loud. It's going to be Cloud9. It will be a match to remember, and it starts right here, right now.
out for. Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't.
Olha, TZ, escala bem, faz duplo abate, vamos, Fogão!
Se acaba tempo e leva!
Sé que el próximo partido es contra Furia, es un equipo que conozco porque jugué 2 años con ellos y tengo un gran aprecio.
And it seems to be working beautifully, but MW Zera! What?
The big out and gets the ace here for Furia!
O NZR é nosso ex-teammate, né? Na última temporada ele estava junto com a gente, é um cara que eu tenho um carinho imenso e vai ser um grande jogo com certeza.
He's in a great spot to land 2 with the Marshall! Closing moments of this first half, Nowser with 3.
Assim como o jogo contra a Cru, a gente sabe que o próximo jogo contra o Leviathan também, por ser um duelo meio regional ali, será um jogo difícil. Eles estão com uma line teoricamente mais forte e vai ser bem da hora jogar contra os caras.
Nosso próximo jogo vai ser contra Cloud9, obviamente. A gente sabe que eles passaram por muitas mudanças no time dele, mas isso não quer dizer que os caras estão jogando pior ou que é um time ruim.
Trying, he's trying.
Playing them will be like super fun because they're like a powerhouse team. It'll give us like a good gauge of where we kind of stand, I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! How? Forget about waiting. He wants to take the fight to their doorstep, and it's the ace for Kawanzin.
A gente está 100% respeitando os inimigos que jogamos contra e sempre estamos com o pé no chão. Eu acho que vai ser um jogão e estou muito ansioso para jogar contra eles.
#1 squad faces off against Cloud9, a fallen super team looking to regain their expectations with 2 brand new players. The odds are stacked against them, but there's hope, there's a chance. They looked good in week #1, and now it's a question of how well can you play against one of the world's best?
Yeah, that's. I mean, that is the question. That is the $1 million question. I mean, I think a lot of it does depend on the maps that they can take them to. Cloud9 have been just fierce on Pearl. If that is a map they can get through in the pool, and Loud do like that map, they could get a cheeky win there. But where else do you think they could take it, Sean, that they could maybe squeeze out a second map on?
Oh, it's gonna be so hard to find edges in the map pool right now for Cloud9. I mean, we saw Loud's Haven look pretty good. We didn't see that at lock-in, but they ran the Harbor, and it looked fantastic. We think their split looks really good. I think their Lotus historically looked pretty good. I thought it looked really good at lock-in against Fnatic, but this new Gecko comp, maybe there's a weakness there. But with a new team like Cloud9, can they really even exploit that? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I also wonder now, was this Gecko stuff a gimmick? Was it a one-off that they wanted to try and implement? Or do you think this is the new ethos of Loud? Are they going to try and continue through, implement this Gecko into more maps, Wyatt?
I mean, I would like to see them do it. I think Gecko is going to be busted, and I think it's only a matter of time until teams crack the code, or one team really cracks the code on it, and then everyone follows suit. And they definitely could be that first team to really do it. I think if they do continue the Gecko and have a misfire like Lotus, maybe that's an opportunity. But 3 maps of that, is that the win con? And then, you know, if you're Cloud9, like, I just don't know what the 3rd map you'd want to pick would be.
Yeah, we'll see. The bans do start out here with Cloud9 getting rid of Icebox. Where do you expect us to land for map number 1 in this series, Sean?
I think we're going to see Pearl in this series. Whether Cloud9 opts to pick it, Loud picks it, or they just float it as a 3rd, we're going to see Pearl here today because I think Cloud isn't going to ban it.
Yeah, and just talking as well with how little time Cloud9 have had, it's like, how do you divvy up the time? Are you working on your own maps? Are you trying to integrate your players more effectively? How much time are you spending counter-stratting Loud and trying to figure out how to take advantage of the maps that they're playing?
I mean, how long has it been? What, 2-3 weeks since they picked up these new players versus a squad that has been together for a while and has already shown their preparation, but they get split to start.
That is so interesting because I think Loud has some of the best ideas when it comes to their attack split. They are some of the best when it comes to controlling A Heaven in the post plant. They like to get control of A Heaven, then get the plant down with Gecko, with Wingman, and I don't see that changing, but maybe MC found some kind of hole.
Yeah, maybe. And Ascent for the 2nd map as well. That is interesting. I mean, historically, that has just always been a rock-solid Loud map. So not entirely surprising.
A little interested that Cloud9 is the one getting rid of Lotus. That was the map where Loud looked mortal on, and one that Cloud9 was really strong at back at Lock-In on their old roster. But they want to stray away from it here, as Loud also will ban away that Haven pitch on.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good play to get rid of Lotus right here. It's kind of unknown, and they're a new team. There's so much variance in it, and there's Pearl coming in as the 3rd. I think both of these teams are comfortable on Pearl. If we go there, I think that we could get a slugfest. But I don't know if Cloud9 is going to be able to steal one of these first 2 maps.
Well, let's focus on map number 1. That's split. You already talked a lot about the Gecko composition that this team is running on that map. Loud looked incredible. What do you think Cloud9 could cook up as an answer? We've seen a lot of different answers to this map thus far. The Gecko, the double duelist comps, the double controller comps.
Well, I'm going to stick to Cloud9's defense, or I'm sorry, Cloud9's attack, which is where they're going to be starting. I think Gecko is weakest on defense, and we saw a lot of Gecko in male, in mid, Sawhawk patrolling that area, and util dumping mid at certain timings. I think if Cloud9 can bait that Gecko util out, it can't be collected, that is their win condition. Controlling mid, getting the Gecko util out.
All right, well, here we go. Map number 1, Agent Select is ongoing. And it looks like Jake is hovering onto that jet. He played it some in Collegiate, but don't expect that to continue. He'll lock in the Astra here.
Yeah, so far, things looking as they looked last week for Loud. Auspice on the jet, Calzine on the sky, and there's the Gecko again. Viper, Astra. I mean, and on the opposing side, this is kind of the classic look from C9. They've always loved the Astra Breach Raze for the longest time.
Yeah, not a lot of A pressure though. I mean, typically you get that A pressure from the Viper, from the Cypher on attack side. So that tells me that maybe they're down to brawl in mid with this Gecko, right? Maybe we might see some fault line plays, double satchels up male coming out of the Raze. You know, Skybird's coming as well. This is a great comp to pounce on male, pounce on B, and really go at the Gecko.
Yeah, for Xeppaa, this feels like his absolute comfort zone. A lot of people forgot about his Raze, but in the first week, he looked fantastic on it. Love to see as that continues, as we are ready to hop into map number 1. So let's send it over to our casters, who I can't rent a car, but they sure can. It's Vansili and Rivington.
Thank you so much, Mimi. And by the way, great job to Mimi, White, and to Sean. First time on the desk, killing it. Great way to start week number 2. Also a great matchup today here, Riv. We have 2 new players here from Cloud9 that played last week, coming into play and also showing to the crowd and to the fans that, you know, they're no joke. It's not Cloud9, but they're coming up against Loud here. A very, very tough opponent.
What a step. Like, the ladder didn't have any rungs in between. They're like, all right, test you out on the stage. World champion test. Here we go. All right, we're going into game. We see the compositions. We've heard what the desk has to say. I am also interested to see how Cloud9 approaches this. If they can break that defense of this Gecko. Sean was mentioning that A Heaven play a lot by Loud. I think when they played MIBR, it was recognized, and MIBR would kind of rush A site and hunker down in there.
Exactly.
Still, Loud had great retake. So we'll see how it kind of fiddles out here, the 3-2 split to start things off, and really kind of set back defense by Loud to not give anything away as we get a quick guiding light for it.
Blinded.
Just going to find a bit of information at the beginning, but still a stalemate. And you bring up a great point about fighting towards this B Heaven. Something that C9 or just MIBR hasn't done at all. So we didn't really see like a Gecko being tested into the B sites, but for C9, it seems like it might be the play to start there. The Trailblazer fake up towards the A ramp, and soon the 3 players creeping up from C9 towards B. Tweez just around the corner with the Frenzy. First contact still waiting to start here for week number 2 of the Americas. As 53 seconds are left on the clock. A Nebula being called up. Recall now for the swing out. But it's a 1v1 over there trying to close in onto Xeppaa. Around the corner, it's still going to be Tweez with the first blood. But then we push in towards the A site. Fighting back over on that area, and C9 rotates right away.
That if they were wondering how it would work if they didn't have that pressure on A by a Viper Cypher, it looks like Zelsis is going to be hanging around, activating the turret in mid to prevent a flank, and still is able to hold site. So mid A hold by Zelsis. They're able to kind of fake it again, pull Loud around, but still hit that retake on B. It's planted. This 2v4 is going to be tough for Loud.
Footsteps are being heard towards the spawn, while Les is fighting towards the entrance of the B site. Two is just waiting there with the Frenzy. So that flank watch now has to come into responsibility of Leaf. Fault line from Rooney, from the back of the site, just running this clock down. And C9 are running the perfect protocols. Finally, one more to go, and it's C9, the first one to answer in this series.
A dominant pistol as well. Really no hesitation to be able to get in. Xeppaa with just an absolute W forward on a blast pack, but it was almost to see the reaction of what happened to the rest of the map. Zelsis is able to get timing off of that rotation going into B. Really well worked and orchestrated for a pistol round there. Loud's gonna go ahead, Aspas on a shorty. We'll see where they stick this. Up towards Heaven. Also watching how Loud kind of situate Kawanzin and Sadak, because you get that full combo of the Sky, of the Gecko. Here they actually have it from both sides of mid.
Blinded.
On both sides of mid, the first pressure comes in. Sadat trying to jump around, trying to jump spot to see if anybody's gonna peek through from Cloud9. But a default play, passive play. Now starting to engage slowly behind the Trailblazer on the top. But it's 4 players of Loud already here. 2 on each side. At vents and also towards the B Heavens.
Just seeing how much they can get out of this Loud squad, so the defense becomes that much softer to hit. 2 frags coming out for C9 as that's fast, able to trade 1.
There's that first protocol, how you pressure into that B Heaven. You saw Rooney inside, Ramen going for the fault line. Something that has to be now learned and identified by Loud into the future rounds once we get these rifles coming in. But as we open up towards vents, C9 moves into the A site, and we'll get an open site to plant.
Really neat to watch Zelsis kind of play around that turret activation. Pulls it back as the team gets the spike plant as well. And now it's a kind of a 3-pronged attack, or at least defense on what damage they can do as C9 exits before the full team rushes in here. It looks like 2 vent towards 1 back hall. Stinger on Aspas, so that could be good. It's wingman checking. Good corner clears. Again, in just a few seconds. They have a lot of time.
Slugs just keeps running over and picking up the little orbs. Making sure they have what it takes. Another fault line to come through off the other cooldown from Rooney. Allows for C9 to move up. This is a cleanup now towards A Heaven. Sadak had low HP from the beginning. A nice anti-eco for Cloud9 as they only lose 2 players.
Again, only 2 go down, which means the economy is going to look nice coming into these rounds. We'll see what kind of full buys we get from C9. 3 Phantoms across the board to match up against this buy round. Actually, they sold one out just to get full armor on Leaf here and make sure the utility is there to hit. They're going to have to see how Loud plays, I think, even slower here. It's either a super slow round or they W, and it could be a 5 towards B to start off. Where's the ultimate for Xeppaa at? I'm not, it's kind of far away, but they have Zelsis.
Exactly. All grouped up are C9. 1 Orbital Wave again in the lockdown. As that turret is watching a very forward push on a flank. So indicating a potential death ball for C9 into this B site. Orb now picked up, fault line in, flash the execution. But a Nebula just holds them in their tracks. Nobody's flanking yet. And C9's looking to use his lockdown.
Still pretty much full stars for Jake here. Dismissed what was in heaven, places another one, so it looks like the re-hit will come through. They have numbers for Loud, though. The gamble stack is there. They're just leaving Aspas at A here to figure out if Jake is lurking behind.
There's no util left for Rooney, so the only initiation is going to be Lisa's flash, which brings it in. Satchel's also from Xeppaa. B site is now open and cleared by the lockdown as a plant comes in for B main. A full 5-player retake for Loud as a flash goes in for spawn. Indication of 1 player for C9 to get ready on that pulse plant. On the other end, though, Loud looking to initiate back on their own flashes, dropping from B heaven. Xeppaa on the first blood, but gets quickly traded out by Kawadzin. All 4 players of Loud still stuck towards the top. As Rooney fights from the middle. Make that even 3 for him. And that's a lockdown and a shutdown for C9 on a pulse plant.
C9 hit the site quickly. Another retake instance as well. Sourcing information, starting a little misdirection as they back up, and then after planting, the important thing is they are all set up to either avoid or trade, do this ping pong off each other based on the Sky and the Dizzy coming through. That guiding light Dizzy combo hit at the same time. Nobody was affected. Cloud9 was ready. They're thinking these things through and are steps ahead of Loud right now. Bonus round to Cloud9 there.
Free guns picked up too. Money is flowing for the attack. Trailers are coming out on the defense, and as we react for Cloud9 off what they saw, it's the fallback and hopefully play some sort of crossfire deep inside A. C9 relentless. Fall line open up already. Out of bullets, as it's going to be an easy bait to allow Xeppaa to move in for 2 entries. Trailers are spawning 2 more towards the top, stunning off this attack. The assist comes in. You know, we were looking at the beginning when we had the interview from MCE talking about how C9's looking. They're a new team, but they're looking like they're flushed out. Everything's looking really good for this team on how they're working their attack.
And you don't know that yet. He said there's not much tape to watch on us. So using that, the double-edged sword seems to be swinging their way at this point. We're still very early. We're going to see ults come up here for Loud soon. This is just going to be Tui's with the Sheriff here. There's a nice shot on the Zelsis. At least delete some of these weapons. That economy for Cloud9 is just too good at this point. Rooney as well, just solid with the headshots throughout this match. Last week to this week, the gap doesn't matter. It's like he kept playing. We'll see as we get into this next round. Ultimates are coming up. Cosmic Divide, Aspas 1 away, so the operator comes in knowing that investment can happen with the way they can fold into the ultimate next round. So this is where it either needs to turn around or could turn around for Loud, but if Cloud9 stops this, they get another few rounds to themselves pretty easily.
Rooney on his agent showing that he's not only good at shooting, but also doing great with the utility. And for this round, exactly.
Oh my word.
Loud still trying to find an answer into the first half. It comes with an operator into this round, but it starts off with a Rolling Thunder. Aspas is not affected. Looking up towards heaven, but misses the shot. A rare miss coming out from Aspas as they're finding close. Jake with the shorty drops Kawadzin. And there's only 1 more player stuck inside of the site. No way of escape.
Right to the throat. Rolling Thunder to start it off, making sure the operator wasn't close. It didn't matter. Xeppaa's still up top of B heaven.
Finally, with this gap, Tui's comes back.
Healing over here.
Still like nearly impossible for the retake to happen for Loud. Unless we get lucky on some shots, some over-peaking like this coming out from C9. But the protocol comes back for a flank. Waste on that clock. Rooney comes in from B main. Up at the top of mail, here's the first drop. Information on the second. Alerted are the other players inside the site for C9 from that flank. And it's 5 unanswered round nows for the attack.
All right, Bladestorm this round for Loud. Cloud9, however, looked drilled. They're looking drilled. This is incredible right now. Everybody is playing off the next teammate perfectly in these situations. We see just where that shot was on the pause a little after the wide swing from Xeppaa, just brazenly of heaven into sight because he knew the team was coming in as well. That coordination is throwing Loud off of their timing. And then you spam Aspas through the wall. That's where we saw him really be able to shut down MIBR from their defensive side once they got the op. And I think that's an important thing to focus on, is that op went down immediately. The game was controlled quite a bit by Aspas's op when Loud was able to get that in their MIBR match, and away it goes because Cloud9 was ready.
Yeah, to talk about that game too, there was some great shutdown plays from Aspas with that operator against MIBR.
Absolutely.
And also the other nice thing about seeing Loud on a defense when they were having that op on the B site was the amount of utility that was being used around Aspas so he could get some kills, get away safely and fight within that site. But with the amount of util that's coming out from C9, it's looking nearly impossible to get any good positioning on your defense.
That's such a good point, that the way, how fluid that Loud looked to be, you know, just flipping a switch with the util they were going to use for a protocol to save each other, play off each other, was much more fluid last time. Seemed like Cloud9 is just moving too quick to even allow that to happen at this point. A lot of these rounds have been going quite fast, and for rehit sake as well, their rehits aren't that long of a wait. They cut sound, maybe wait 10 seconds, and you see the stars going back down from Jake, so they're just trying to get Loud a little moved around, and it's starting to be enough. They don't even need a full push or pull to a site here.
An opportunity for redemption.
Oh my word.
Nice timing came out for less. Couldn't get the kill. We see Sadak with the judge, and that's going to just keep C9 away from this Nebula at the beginning of the round. And that redemption also comes in with the Blade Storm activated for Aspas. A double push coming outside of A. So we're closing in now onto C9. C9 slowly pinned. You just need more delay now towards this B site. C9 just wants to go in with the showstopper.
Yeah.
Not even an overkill. It just wanted to use everything. Get the rounds in.
Really securing the round with an ultimate, right? It's just flexing muscles right now to make it into that site. It's where they've had most of their strength. The post plant, Loud has not been able to touch Cloud9.
Blade Storm was hurt earlier on. So C9 just looking for where Aspas is going to be coming from. Passive plays. Jake playing like he's part of a fair, but gets knocked down.
Blocking sight.
Smacked by Aspas. As the Blade Storm gets refreshed. Jump spot coming out from Leaf. Aspas still weary of a push coming out from Spawn, but this clock is running down. Wallbangs coming through. We're just looking for the highlight reels.
Yeah. It looks gonna look good. That'll probably be in there too. 6 rounds now for Cloud9. Even after the timeout from Loud, it was not able to stave off this pressure. Still hemorrhaging rounds here, and they survived the ultimates. That Blade Storm, the operator round, and a few other ults that have been coming in now from the side of Loud. So the answers, a few more here, Seekers, and that Cosmic Divide. And less than Sadak to be just one off as well. Answers on the other side for Cloud9. And this operator is back for Aspas, so another big investment round, full utility all around. Now 5 towards A.
Scout destroyed.
Cloud9 doesn't seem to be favoring the 1-4 or really worrying about the Loud push or flank. They're moving in on the site and backing each other up.
That's a play. A fault line to a Trailblazer. Satchel through Seekers to clear out the A site. No opportunity for Aspas to get any shots coming out from the operator. Now playing from the back of the map. The barrel of the gun, a shot missing.
Another miss.
As Lift runs across for the entry into the B side as well. Well, fighting back towards the spawn. I mean, what can you really do for the last 2 players remaining from Loud?
Stars go down. They're just playing for safety. Again, another round that Loud is forced to just save guns. It's tough. Tuiz is going to look for a frag. They're looking for some ecos here. And this cannot continue to happen. If they buy the operator, they need to see a return on investment. They need to see the frags, Van Silly. 7 rounds now for Cloud9. And talking about Aspas, those shots need to be hitting now. It seems a little too cold for the rate of this game.
And aiming on a run by right there. Inches for the second time against Xeppaa's run-in. Clearing out the heavens.
Always Xeppaa.
Yep. Just slippery here on that raise. I gotta say, for a team that we saw in the pistol round for C9, opportunities for alerts, but there's a lot of chemistry that has to be done too. You look at the comp from C9, there's not a Viper alert, it's not a Cypher alert that you have, so you need that communication between Zelsis and Jake as well to pull those nebulas to allow Zelsis to get these lurks. But again, it's only been needed for pistol round. The rest has been a lot of just full site executions.
Exactly.
Flooding the same way that MIBR has been doing here. You know, they were able to flood into sites. Loud was able to shut them down. But for this game here for C9, it just seems to be too much utility to handle for Loud.
Here.
Plays towards mid. They feel confident now. They'll head up to try and go for these 1v1s. This is the first time in a while, like you said, they've been playing that kind of death ball strategy. We really see a 1-3-1 across the map from Cloud9. And no forward spaces be taken. So a different look here as well from Sadak, a slow push out. And if he times this right, that could be the play of the round if he can come around towards mid here and that turret's not activated.
Because Sadak was pushed all the way up towards garage. A full rotate comes out from Loud early with no information to gamble for a stack towards the A side. The fake's not going to work. Cosmic Divide, and it's ready for Aspas. The first blood up to Zelsis as Zelsis falls. But the rest of C9 are still moving in low on HP from all of the info coming out. All the util retaliated by Loud.
Spike
and they answer back on an eco. Spike now down on a 4 versus 1. Jake's going to have to try to clutch this. Here's the first one. Drops back in. 10 seconds left. Has to go for that spike. The flag for the swing. It's going to be too much. As Loud gets the thrifty for the first point into the game.
And yeah, locking it down on the thrifty. Very nicely done. The rotation not even needed there on the push, but Sadak was able to let the team know that it was probably a focus towards A. 2 backside this time. Loud very much in position to slow this one down, and they use util perfectly to delay this take. Loud on the board. Only takes 1, right? You got to get a few more now. 5 could be how many that is. 7 to 5 is definitely a pretty common score we see on split. And the operator is back in the hands of Aspas. So eyes on that. Playing it where we have seen Xeppaa blast packing instantly. So this could get tricky. They play the Trailblazer up there. Might have seen just the shoulder of Aspas there.
An opportunity here for Loud to come back as they finally have also come in, and now shots are landing. First blood for Aspas there.
Wow.
Detained is going to be Jake as Thrash comes out for an aggressive B push. Rooney trying to save his teammate, countering back with the flashes. Double swing, double fight. Not going to work. As Rooney's looking to aim lab some more. Spike is now down towards B, and Seekers also spawns the last 2 players. So the lurk will not work here for Xeppaa. The backstab, the flank, no go. And it's Loud all over this spike.
Loud trying something different this round.
Yeah.
A quick AO.
Zelsis pinned, cornered. A lockdown trying to push him away, but he's shot from both angles. And unfortunately falls. Allows Xeppaa to gain some space. 1 versus 1 down towards the sewers, as that's less down to 11 HP. And 3 players just ready to greet Xeppaa across. Breaking the crosshair placement, or at least an attempt to. Not gonna happen. As we were just talking about here, Riv, they had an eco round where they had a lot of ults. It took a lot of rounds finally for Loud to get some ults in. Thankfully, they got a thrifty round so they could use an ult into a very important round here to salvage 2 rounds in a row.
And really just meet that aggression of Cloud9. It comes to a point where you have to stop playing reactive and be the one to be active. Yeah. So they pushed out fully to B, and that was the gamble too. Really great call there. And if it wasn't the start of the gamble that won, they probably get that play because you saw less ulting over at that A ult orb. So really wanted to direct how that round flowed for Cloud9. And now that I think Loud has that confidence, we see a little bit more pushing through and oozing out.
And it's from everywhere. A main 2 rounds ago, B main last round, this time 4 players on mid. It's time for Loud to play the death ball on defense this time around. But as they forfeit mid, C9 also forfeit B main to try to fight back on this mid control.
Yeah, a lot of space has to be regained now. So this is good. Loud actually achieves quite a bit from pushing up and making sure that that space is unknown now for Cloud9. It definitely becomes a re-hit and a task to make it happen.
Blinded.
Setting up here potentially. There you go with the Rolling Thunder into the site.
Fast, did he dodge?
Kawadzin didn't to his also didn't, but still gets a crossfire with Sadak.
What are they doing?
Perfect for 2 more kills. And now with the Nebula, it forces the 2 players just to hold behind the smoke for C9. Finally, Zelsis moves in, long range for the kill, and Jake has to come in for a clutch on low HP. Decides to fall back instead.
Very interesting decision on the entry for C9. From what we've seen recently, just Xeppaa blasting in. I think everybody looks like they took that first fight in heaven, not worrying about back, and the calls just did not come through. Loud punishes that. They get another round for themselves here, and the more that stay alive for these rounds, it's so good for Loud. They're trying to rebuild this economy. As I say that, the Casper curse rings true.
Oh no.
Well, that's gonna be a hot foot.
Gets melted down. Rev, you got some caster praise going on, because when it was a 7-1 score, like, oh yeah, 7-5 is something that's common. I was like, I didn't look it was going to be that's to go towards that direction without C9's been playing, but Loud are starting to fight back.
It was a monumental shift in how Loud was playing. I think they were very accepting to giving Cloud9 a lot of space in the early rounds, allowing these flanks to happen without it, knowing now you, again, take that space. 1 round less goes up to A, you know it can be a focus towards B mid. And same thing with pushing mid, you know A can be ready for a big hit, back up a little bit, look for that home run shot from the opponents, and still be able to, you know, defend once it comes time. So it really well orchestrated in how they kind of read C9 there. But again, Cloud9 for a while was just dictating how the game went. And that, I think, was a tough call for Loud to be like, wait, let's just do that too. Kind of in essence.
And I think it's from also, I think that's why it was important, the timeout that came out here from Fraud for seeing how Loud are trying to play into more aggressive positions that avoids these fault lines that have been set up for Rooney. It allows most of these things to happen for C9. Exactly. So you play in front of it, you get these hits, it's working out. Now it's C9 to answer back. Okay, we're going to try to fault line different places or try to leverage more onto Lisa's initiation from the Sky utility that they have to allow these first hits to happen. The first map control towards mid.
Let's be honest, 7 on attack feels good.
Yeah.
7 on attack feels nice. So C9 really racking up a few more here to kind of put a little padding in.
Look better at 7-0 though.
Look better, yeah. Right? You know, be damned. It did. A big split here for Cloud9. A different look for them. Usually it's just one on that flank, but they do have both Jake and Zelsis over on that left side. So one of them I feel like is going to be left when the rotation comes through mid. And this A Heaven, I think it's going to be A Heaven stall here for Cloud9 to see how Loud reacts.
An opportunity to fight for a Heaven and go down ropes. Xeppaa moving forward with the Stinger first. Pushed up by both initiators.
Oh, here's that
towards
flank.
mid. Sadak hasn't been spotted, so he's in a great area here. Jump spot now. Jig is up. Is up again and ready for the backstab. Seeker's coming out too, and here's the footsteps falling away towards B Heaven instead. So no early advantage for C9, no capitalization on a rotation coming back from Sadak. But the Seeker still allows for C9 to take control towards B Heavens.
Sadak reading this well, playing patient. Easily could have walked into a few, but Cloud9, they are working the map so well here to figure out, take space, and make it difficult for Loud to actually read what's happening. Loud may be staying safe, but I feel like C9 has the upper hand here to crush the site. I think we have a full 5v5 retake on our hands coming up.
There's no stars available, though, for Jake. So we have open angles coming out for the defense. And the Yacht comes in, Flash trying to push him out. Jake falls. 10 seconds left on the clock. We're looking for the plant. We'll get it on the top of A Heaven.
Molly on.
Time for Loud to fight back. Showstopper out towards screens. Zelsys gets the first contact inside vents. Gets immediately traded out. And Les is closing in on A Heaven. 2 more players left on the defense, stuck inside the site. And it's the players with low weaponry. A Bulldog and a Stinger. From both the star players of Leaf and Xeppaa, protecting each other, advancing on the other. As it turns it over, Aspas has to go for a clutch now. Flash available, not needed, Leaf comes out. And C9 answer back.
What a round!
In the half.
Again, working the map well, but when it came down to it, it did look like Loud was okay for the retake. Like I said, it was gonna be big numbers for it. Util was flying, and numbers in favor of Loud here. This setup, honestly, it's the gamble that they don't push elbow. They knew the locations for a moment, what the timing could have been, and the miracles happen. Wow. Great stuff by Cloud9. Loud now pushed down to a possible 4 rounds only from this defensive side. They buy into this one. Operator for Aspas Cloudstorm to be, or Bladestorm rather, to be used. And they are getting a bit of a push again towards mid, but Cloud9 meets them right away.
One's just around the corner, Aftershock, and then a spray through to Poison Orb. Les falls, but there's still players for Loud inside mid.
I'm gonna need a tally on Jake and Rooney's through smoke shots and kills in their last 2 games. It's absurd, their timing and the angles they're firing at to get such a return on investment here with the mainly Phantoms, so return fire is almost obsolete or impossible for Loud. Now the focus towards mid sends Loud on a bit of a journey to see what they can find, and they've gambled towards B while Cloud9 is ready to hit A here. Cosmic Divide comes out.
Just good enough.
What
Flash
utility?
pushing the op away from Aspas. Cosmic Divide, as you called Riv, and C9 moves into an open site. We have an early flank coming in. Footsteps will be heard as Kaozin's trying to move up for the backstab.
Spike planted.
3 players now from Loud towards A main. All of C9 stuck inside the A site, looking to regain map control towards screens. Aspas updrafting, but not connecting with the Bladestorm. Trying to retake with the operator with the rest of the teammates. A trade-off happens from both teams. A 3 versus 3. As the spike is not planted really for C9, so they just have to win their duels.
1 enemy remaining.
Flanker doesn't work. Jake on his own. Up to halfway. As now he has to move forward. Cannot get the kill onto Tui's. As Cowardson goes for the defuse, and they do get the 4 rounds that they wanted.
They get the 4, they salvage the last few, but Van Silly, what a powerful round from Cloud9. I do not think Loud was expecting that, and it took them a little too long to right the ship.
Well, finally, Loud is fighting back, and hopefully the desk figured out what Loud's answer was. So, Mimi, what do you have to say?
Loud had some ideas at the end of that one, but it was Cloud9 who started so incredibly strong, Sean, and I think not only did they have some great ideas, but they played to their composition strengths so well.
Yeah, I'm about to cut my sleeves off. It's feeling like summer in here. Like, Cloud9's looking legit. I thought they did everything they needed to do. We talked about how they were going to pounce on B a little bit more, a little bit on male, and this is the bonus. This is their first really opportunity to take the game away. And what do? They group up at B, they fake a hit here, they grab the orb, get the lockdown, and they're trying to draw this Gecko Util out. They're trying to bait Util out, and then they're gonna re-hit later on in the round with this lockdown once there's no counter Util left in Loud. And it's just such a good game plan early on from Cloud9 that helped bolster this huge lead they built.
Yeah, definitely. What I was hoping to see more of in this half that we started to see a bit later, possibly too late, but also I think Loud only need 4. All good, only need 4. Gecko on attack, very good. But I love these, the rounds that they started to play out a little bit later where they were using the Gecko effectively to actually fight for the extremities, to fight for B main here, to push out, take this space, and actually, you know, not only get the map control in this situation, they're actually able to get some kills on top of it, but not allowing Cloud9 to have these positions where they could set up the big executes that were winning them all of those rounds for the first half of the half.
Yeah. I agree. Once Loud got a little bit more proactive, especially even on one of the later rounds, we saw Sadak pushing down mid solo, and Cloud9 gave him the space to just walk away. And once Loud realized that, they kind of adapted their game plan a bit.
Yeah, that they did. But now we head into the second half, and this is where this Gecko pick can be so incredibly strong. Sean, you were talking about it earlier, but this is where Loud have a lot of set plays, a lot of ideas, and for Cloud9, they're looking good, they're looking strong. But with a new team, 2 new players, is this enough to close out versus one of the world's best? We'll find out back with Riv and Vincent.
White mentioned, Loud with Gecko, good attack. Right, and then if you remember the match last week here between Loud and IBR, it was a lot of these hits towards the top of the heavens, and then getting these plans for heaven with that wingman. Does C9 have an answer for that, or is Loud coming out with something new this week around?
We'll see. I think they had 4 successful wingman plans coming in through the round, which is actually pretty good if you think about it. Once the team starts to get aware of it, easy to stop. Looks like both will go. It's going to be a quick pickup as well in the rope room. Throw them in here for safety. A neat way to use them. A lot of times you'll see if there is a high wall or low wall, it'll be straight up. So it's always interesting to see how Sadak will retrieve that utility to be able to use again. Ready and raring. Rooney is set with the utility as a Trailblazer tries to find where Loud is. They did a very similar thing in their first round towards MIBR. So they're going to try to come up here to A Heaven and again lock that down. Second layer, drop in sight or head back to B.
Ready with the fault line is Rooney. Footsteps now being heard as Loud is trying to take over A Heavens. Now gets gooped from Dizzy as the wingman comes down for an attempted plant at halfway, but it's not even needed. Somehow all the players of Loud just fall.
I was about to pray. I was like, oh, Cloudburst on the wingman, and it's going to be ass fast in there. This is so cool. Oh, dear. Oh. And then, yeah, let's see it again, because that was quick.
Yeah, that's actually great util from Zelsis. Change too, if you look at how he was placing his KJ utility, the Killjoy utility is that turret, instead of being towards the flower pot, it's actually on behind the Viper wall to watch both the A ramp and vents.
Right.
So it could use the alarm bot to debuff so much here inside the A site.
Some sheriffs coming through. Mid work. Let's see if they can get one of these sheriff picks to hit. Leaves playing slow. They get distraction from the Roomba, and he almost gets his life taken there as they try to get the spam throw through the wall. Real spicy in mid for a moment, but Cloud9 hold off on going too hard there.
Xeppaa is actually trying to go hard into the paint.
Yeah.
The flash came out from Leaf, and he was chasing for those kills.
A little uh-oh.
The good old C9 way. A little bit of an overheat moment, but for Loud, it's still going to stay quiet. C9 looking for some information back into the mid-round. Starts with a flash-guided light into B Heaven that does spot at least one player from the point of view of C9 on defense.
They're grouping up with a Stinger, Les and Aspas. They're seeing if they can get this to work or at least trade and then follow up with another weapon that you would see Cowanzine grab. So this is the group. This push, however, coming in from Jake. I don't know if Jake's made a sound here yet, but that's a big call if Tui's is able to call it.
Still came in.
One enemy remaining.
Easy kill there as Cowanzine was low on HP, and they spot the last one on the top. Jake comes in with the ghost, the assist from the flash, closing into the players of C9, but Aspas still able to get one for his troubles before he gets dropped by C9, but that's now 2 in a row. Great pistol anti-eco once again for the defensive side, this time of Cloud9.
Yeah. Big rounds to pick up, put the pressure on to Loud here, and those rounds become so difficult. Like, you got to commend Loud for where they're going, how far they're lurking. They're getting the last bits of utility to almost get a frag, and C9 just continues to back up and play further and further away, so it makes it harder to take the site, especially on a save like that. So let's flip the script. Cloud9 did take quite a bit of damage on that round, so they're going to be on a low buy, even with the win. This bonus could be tough, and Loud is planning on it.
That's not a good way to start the round for a bonus for Rudy.
Here.
Sprayed through the toxic screen. Rifle still available for Zelsis. The strongest weapon that we have for C9 in his bonus. So he's forced to play a little bit of a bait and switch here with Xeppaa inside this A site. But for Loud, we're not looking to engage off the first pick that they've gotten. Falling back towards mid, towards even their spawn. Trying to see if C9 is going to try to push forward. I think we're still trying to find the KJ utility as well for Loud.
I think one of the effective things about having the Sky and the Gecko comp too, it seems like they'll hit a little earlier than like pressure late into this round, but the more you pressure your opponent, it's usually one person in sight. So you throw all this util at, there's nothing they're going to be able to do, and here they actually find an empty site with the fact that Rooney already went down.
The first wingman plant coming out from Loud for B main, but nobody's playing that spot. Everybody's inside the site, and there's a late lurk from Les down towards sewers. 3 players of Cloud9 moving forward for the retake from spawn. Zelsis at B Heaven still waiting for this 1v1. Will win it against Les. Meanwhile, battle ensues towards the trade in the back of B site. Gravity Well, Nova Pulse coming out from C9 in the back. It works out for the stun, but the trade-off once again, and Kalzin gets 2. Zelsis looking to clutch, but gets denied right away by Tuis.
Important round for Loud. The confidence for the game overall. They ran a lot of the rounds when they played MIBR. I think Loud is kind of finding their first time where they have to question things that are happening here. They seem confident on that round, however, versus Cloud9. I almost thought the Gravity Well up top was going to give C9 the round because it wasn't used for a possible defuse, but patience pays off. They knew exactly what they were doing. And Loud, I think, knows they need to start taking a bit of more command in this game, or Cloud9 is just going to take everything away from them. Already pushing out towards B, and this isn't looking good here.
Oh! Jay gets the first kill, almost in time for Tuis to get the first one, but indeed it's C9's time to play aggressive. Seeker Zen to spot information towards A main, allowing Zelsis to get the pick off the Kalzin. One more spotted towards the A ramp, Nebula forces them back. And in the blink of an eye, early in this round, C9's up by 2 players.
Everybody playing real far back, not knowing if Sadok is going to grab one of these orbs and just throw Thrash at you. They don't know what's going to happen. See, the line of scrimmage for C9 is basically back along that defensive hallway. So really smart play here not to get contained or detained. And they'll just wait for the movement. Again, this is going to be that one of those Loud searching every cupboard and corner, nook and cranny to find a member of C9, and nothing's going to happen until they go to plant that spike, probably.
And they have to. Losing Tuis so early into this round is no smokes for them to get into the sites. So you're right, grabbing this orb could be important, but that would give your position away. So Loud's playing contact instead. A fight towards B Heaven as Aspas drops in towards Hell. 2 players inside the site as players are falling down. Les is fighting in. 14 seconds left. There's only 1 player inside the site. Both players on the attack, fully blinded for the flash from Leaf. And really just playing behind the box. A double swing. And that denies everything. A 1 versus 1, no time to plant. As that was a key swing coming out from C9 Rooney.
So I mentioned it last round from Loud. It wasn't the pressure cooker, but this time they went for one of those rounds. Obviously pushed back by C9, but trying to get those last seconds to be in their favor. Cloud9 was already anchoring that B site on the gamble. Timeout here for Loud to come through. And again, we're saying Loud's being active. I'm saying Loud's taking control of things, and then Cloud9 comes flying out of B main just to grab the first one and be able to convert coming into that 5v4. Got sticky, but they found it in the end. Really fantastic play so far. Jake and Rooney still topping.
Yeah.
They are doing so well right now. No questions to be asked about them. Maybe questions to ask them about how they're feeling, because that is a hell of a stage to be on right now, but it does not seem like it phases them another day at the park.
These 2 players are definitely the talk of the town, the highlight storyline for C9. But it sometimes overshadows currently the performances that we're currently seeing from Leaf. Statistically, so far in the VCT's Americas, on the top of the chart, and not even playing a duelist role.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what was it, Sky last week or something?
Yeah,
it was just
Sky now and popping
kills. Leaf and Aspas tied for the most kills currently in the VCT in one game at 20, or Americas, I should say, at 26. So maybe we get it this game. Maybe we get a diffie in one of the situations. Right now, Leaf at 17, Aspas at 13. So they are towards the top there. It seems like Leaf Sky takes off. Did not mean that. 11 to 5 off this.
I liked it though. I liked
17, it. Round 17 as we get in It looks like A is left open for full util. Maybe, wait. So it's gonna play between all the utility as mid gets thrashed right away. There's no waiting to be had.
Just trying to clear towards vents. Leaf looking back down, trying to salvage the thrash, but Leaf is once again there. No dancing could escape.
It's getting
Loud
silly.
from the trap here left by Leaf. Indeed, it is crazy. As it's crazy aim coming out from the defender of Cloud9.
Thrash is ready.
Again, and even the patience they're doing. It's something to mention about how C9 even defended this round is incredible. We're focusing right now on how this one plays out with 1 minute left. Sadak goes back into that vent. They try to look for a small re-hit with already the play from Les getting clearance on ramp.
Especially with the thrash that came out. Early control from Loud on both heavens. And just hoping to punish. Summoning from C9 and they're able to punish Leaf. Peeking out from map. A swing coming out from 2 players of Cloud9 as Xeppaa falls. Les is coming in the fight.
Oh my.
Swinging around back in favor of Loud. They're at the player advantage. No wingman available, so we have to commit into the plant.
3v2.
Twiz on the top, making sure nobody else rotates over. But the plant will be safe. Well, maybe not. Gravity Well forces him out.
10 seconds
Now
left.
he's gonna go for the default instead.
Welcome to my world.
Wow. They're looking to fully secure this round. No chances, but again, Viper's Wall will give space to Zelsis moving into sight. It's the damage Zelsis will take moving through is what they're hoping for right now.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna push onto A ramp alone, or together rather.
Spotting it through. Zelsis comes in for a kill if he can. Has the lockdown if he wants it. There's not too much time left on the clock. So he's just looking to make the last few players allowed lose their weapons, make it expensive into the next. Actually, the economy is very low for both of these teams into this round, so a huge swing round. Losing both of these guns for Loud would be huge for C9 into the next. But at the end of the day, it's still a round coming in for Loud.
Title of that round, Say Less. On it, like, what a play coming in there. I wanted to mention C9's defense. We saw Killjoy playing all the way in the back. It didn't come into play, but the setup for C9 was to be ready for Thrash. Leaf was there to play it. We saw the Killjoy here, but it didn't matter. Even if the rotation was quick from C9, Les just stopped it in its tracks. So all that set up for nothing is what I'm trying to say, because Les just played that round so well. Coming up on the scoreboard for himself too, using the ult to secure that round, so they have to look for another way to get through on this one for C9's defense. And here they come with a Sheriff round to capitalize on grabbing their own ult orbs. One away for Rooney to Rolling Thunder. Loud out of sight.
Rooney with the Sheriff.
Holy util.
Into this round, or picked up as you mentioned, but that Sheriff is gonna be very deadly if Loud looks to work towards his B site. On the other end, C9 has that hero rifle safe in that previous round from Zelsis. Also a lockdown available for the retake. Depending how this round sets in for the post plant, could be a very important ult.
Deja vu.
Second time that happens.
Yep.
Full line, Xeppaa moves out.
Wow.
What an assist by Rooney.
What a little counterplay right there. If they can grab that, it's huge. It almost needs to be protected, but Kalenzin gets pushed out. And that, yeah, you see Xeppaa going back up to see if they can focus grabbing that Phantom.
Not this time around. Rooney falls instantly. Xeppaa long range with the frenzy. Can't do any damage at all at that distance. Another plant comes in for B main.
Obscuring vision.
Nice push by Loud. Slowly moving in to see what kind of trickery Cloud9 has set up, knowing that this defense has to be worried about. We saw even on the previous round, ultimate used by Les just to secure it. They are worried about what C9 can do.
And Lee picked up a weapon. So gets the first blood for the retake attempt for C9.
Player standing.
But Sadak stops him in his tracks. Zelsis no timing behind. So this is gonna secure the round for Loud to bring it up at 7.
Nice flick.
Nice little flick by Sadak.
More comfort from Loud here. C9 may be pushing, but Loud is also activating on a different side of the map, or at least responding much better now. Looking great as they come through full buy here. Maybe a few less buys just due to the fact that they've been losing members throughout the rounds. But I'd say it's definitely starting to even out in the way you think the rounds are going to go when you'd see Cloud9 still have quite a few ready. And we're getting those wingman plants again. So we'll see how they procure a few more of those for the crowd. Where do we go?
Engaging early in this round. Flash comes out from the bottom of the attack side. Just gonna keep C9 in their tracks as they've stacked a lot of players towards mid. Loud change of pace into this round though. Lots of progression up towards the A ramp, breaking the early utility from Zelsis.
We see a bit of a quicker rotation now from Tuis. They're not noticing a big flank, and if anything, it might be coming through sewers. So Loud is actually gathering a lot quicker than previous rounds here. It looks like they want to just get into more of an activate on-site form and have everybody ready for it. Drawing out some great util to make this easier with that Killjoy util away from Zelsis. The lockdown's going to be forced out.
Trying to slow things down.
Oh, wait!
Yeah, that's going to get stopped by the Mod Pit. Nicely thrown here.
Oh, wow.
Still Rolling Thunder available for the retake. Plant comes in and Loud understands that everybody's falling out from the A site, playing towards the A ramp for the take, and it's planted for them too. It only affects one player on the Rolling Thunder, and here comes the Dizzy in the back, and it's still a trade-off. Xeppaa still answering onto Kawadin. 3 players now at the top for Loud. Nice shot by Jake. Only Les and Tuis trying to clutch this for Loud and stay into this fight. Snake bite onto the ground. Cosmic Divide about to disappear. And it's just Xeppaa on his own. Showstopper close. Lands it onto Les. Gross. The fuse comes in. A C9 or now a map point.
Map point here on Split, where we saw Loud really orchestrate a beautiful Gecko match with Sadak against MIBR, and C9 just come in looking to run the show and send a message on map 1. Huge round by Xeppaa to pick up this kill and be able to just shut that down. Cloud9 is honestly looking on form for how little time they have had together.
Agreed.
It's almost like Loud is having trouble kind of figuring out this free-flowing squad, right? Where they're pushing. Also, shout out to Rooney on that round. He did have a Sheriff grab the orb that made that Rolling Thunder possible for the retake.
Game plan was perfect, and indeed for this round as well. No players detained as the Thrash came out on the attack to answer back on C9's aggression. Defensive Seekers spawning 2 players towards mid. But that's just to allow the rotate to come in from Leaf to heal up his teammates and reposition the defense on the player advantage.
Just trying to draw fights. Draw util.
Thrash available again.
But where do they use it, right? Even Loud personally can't find where these members of Cloud9 are here.
Have to use
back
it
and
here.
Forth.
Can't drop it in events back up the ropes, right? So
yeah. Thrash is done.
Star towards the back. 1v1 long range. Nice shot by Jake as he gets dinked himself by 140 Phantom of Tuis. Answer back by a snake bite. Plant now coming down for Sadak's wingman. As no lurk comes in, no flank for C9.
3v3.
Rooney once again with the Sheriff. Headshot and Kawadin, and it's only less. Moving up, making a lot of noise. Spotted by Rooney again. A 2 versus 1. Paint shells to come up. Makes it a 1v1. An ace would be perfect to keep the dream alive. As now as he swings out, Zelsis wins it. Comes back for the defuse, and C9 win the first map.
Mind-blowing. Not a single person. Throw the artwork on the analyst desk away. No, I'm just kidding. They still have a chance. Let's get back at it. Split taken by Cloud9. Last time we saw Cloud9 start off, MZE was calling timeouts one after the other to make sure they could stop anything that was going wrong. Were those the timeouts that they needed? Just those ones? Like, oh my word. Really nicely done by C9 here. Answers coming in from Loud whenever they could find a way in, whenever they could get a few more rounds, and then C9 would switch it up again, play aggressive from another extremity, and make it tough to figure out what the mid-round call was going to be. That was a spectacular first match.
And what's your take now on looking at Loud's attack? A composition that looked really good for Loud, that was mentioned at the desk by Wyatt, saying that it was so good around Wingman, but it seems to have been shut down quite easily here by C9.
I think it was playing on the backline quite a bit. Everybody kept in an anti-flash position, and the Sky and the Gecko composition kind of fell flat at that point. And I don't think Loud maybe has had a chance to play against somebody who just plays so far back against the wall, looking for home run hits the whole game, and then moves forward once the play happens, right? It's really cool how they scaled back in to avoid, or stayed out of the site, Cloud9 did, and scaled back in to get back in after the utility of Loud.
So Leaf, heroic plays, highlight reels throughout the first half, throughout the first map too. And for Jake though, playing on an Astra, I think that's a big one too. Not only for kills, but that utility to stop Loud on their attack, I think was a big play.
Yeah, everybody, Jake, Rooney were able to kill it. The rest of the team, Zelsis on the flanks to start the round. Cloud9 had a plan, and it didn't seem like they were ever stopped in orchestrating that plan.
Well, we're gonna step away from the desk for now, at least at the casting desk. Mimi and the analyst will break down map number 1.
He is currently unstoppable.
True.
He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.